I want to share a moment with you. I was working with a client, and about halfway through our engagement, I said to her, I want to check in on how this is working for you. When we started, we agreed to focus on your leadership visibility, but I'm noticing we keep gravitating toward team dynamics. What would be most useful for you going forward? She exhaled, and she said, I've been wanting to ask about that. That exhale, that's what I want to talk about today. How to open this conversation in a way that creates relief, not resistance. You can see on the screen the kind of language that works. But here's what I want you to understand about why it works. Notice what I didn't say. I didn't say, I think we've gotten off track. I didn't say, you keep changing the topic. I named what I was observing. We keep gravitating towards something different than we planned. And then I asked, what would be most useful? That simple check-in opened the door to what my client actually needed. She'd been wanting to shift focus, but didn't know if she was allowed to. Midstream, revisiting creates space for honest realignment without anyone feeling judged or wrong. This is marker 3.12, and remember, it's brand new in 2025. ICF is now explicitly expecting coaches to check in and adjust agreements mid-engagement, not just at the start. Think about what that means for your practice. What was urgent for your client 3 weeks ago may have shifted. The promotion they were chasing might have happened or fallen through. The relationship they were navigating might have resolved itself. Responsiveness isn't just nice to have anymore. It's a measured competency. Your responsibility is to notice patterns, name what you see, and invite your client to decide if the original agreement still serves them. Let me give you some specific phrases you can use, because sometimes the hardest part is just knowing how to start. Try, I want to check in on how our approach is working for you. Simple, direct, opens the door without drama. Or, when we set up our engagement, we agreed to focus on X. I'm noticing that Y keeps coming up. What would be most useful for you going forward? That one brings specific observations. It shows you're paying attention. Or simply, I want to make sure what we're doing is actually serving what you need right now. Notice the pattern in all of these. You bring specific observations, and then you invite their perspective on what serves them best. You're not deciding for them, you're creating space for them to decide. Here's the mindset shift I want you to make. When you have this conversation, you're not telling your client that something is wrong. You're inviting a conversation. Revisiting isn't corrective. It's a natural part of responsive coaching that honors how needs evolve over time. The power stays with your client. You notice patterns, you create space, and then you let them reflect, adjust, or reveal what's really happening for them. Sometimes they'll say, no, let's stay the course. I just needed to process some things. Sometimes they'll say, actually, yes, let's shift focus. And sometimes they'll share something they hadn't surfaced before. Your role is to ask, listen, and follow their lead. Now let me name what to avoid, because these conversations can go sideways if you're not careful. First, don't make it sound like the client did something wrong. Avoid language that suggests they're off track or failed to follow through. That creates defensiveness instead of openness. Second, don't be too vague. How is it going? Doesn't cut it. Bring specific observations about what you're noticing in the coaching relationship. That's what makes the conversation productive. And third, don't suggest the answer. This isn't about leading them toward your preferred outcome. Invite their perspective and let them decide what serves them. The key is this: name what you see, ask what would be most useful, and let your client determine the path forward. So here's what I want you to take with you. This conversation, the one where you check in and potentially adjust your approach, it strengthens the relationship. It doesn't threaten it. When you revisit, You're showing your client that you're paying attention, that you care about their experience, that you're flexible enough to serve what they actually need, not just what's written in a contract. Revisiting is responsiveness, not failure. Adjusting midstream isn't evidence that something went wrong. It's evidence that you're being present and flexible. Just as you now know how to revisit agreements mid-engagement, you also need to know how to close coaching relationships with intention and care. That's where we're headed next.